Hey guys, I hope that you had a great Easter weekend, but it's time to get back to work. So this week we are working with Unit 2, Lesson 15. Now this is just a unit review. So yes, you are required to still do your skills maintenance. That's going to be on page 101. Then you need to read through your student textbook, page 211 and 215. And then you need to do the unit review. That's on page 102 to 104. Then you're going to read again in the student textbook, page 216 to 219. Then you're going to do another unit review. That's going to be on page 105 to 107. So once you get through all that review stuff, now I want you to do that on your own. What I'm going to go through with you now is I'm going to go through a practice test with you just like we do in class. Okay, so your job right now is going to be to take notes. Let me say it one more time. You need to take notes. Trust me, this is going to help you. So make sure to take some good notes and let's just jump right into it. Okay, so in this unit assessment, there's going to be, I believe, 5 different parts, okay? There's 5 parts. So we're going to go through part 1 first. And part 1 has to do with variables. Okay, so let's go over how to find a variable. Okay, so I'm going to go over 3 of them with you guys. On your test, you'll actually have 5 of these questions. So I'm just going to go over 3 of them with you. Remember, when we're trying to solve for the variable, we want both sides to equal the same thing in this case, okay? So for number 1, we have W minus 12 equals 6 times 1. Okay, so we have to figure out what W is. So first, before we mess with this side, let's figure out this side first. Well, what is 6 times 1? 6 times 1 is 6. Okay, then I'm going to rewrite this, minus 12. Okay, so now I got to figure out, well, what is W? This side has to equal 6. So I know this number has to be bigger than 12 because I'm subtracting. I want this number, minus 12, to equal 6. Okay, there's a couple ways we can do that. One, we can go ahead and do the opposite sign. So we're going to add 12, and we're going to add 12 to this side. Okay. So we know that these cancel each other out right there. So now we have W by itself. Okay, W equals 6 plus 12. Well, 6 plus 12, we know 6 plus 2 is 8. Bring down the 1. So W equals 18. Now go back and check your work. Now let's make sure this makes sense. So we're going to plug in 18 for W. So we're going to have 18 minus 12 equals 6 times 1. Again, we're just checking our work to make sure that this makes sense. So 18 minus 12, if you put that into your calculator, you're going to get 6. 6 times 1 is 6. Does 6 equal 6? Yes, it does. So that means that we are correct. So our answer is 18. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So we have 2 variables here. Now, are these variables going to be the same number or are they going to be different? They're actually going to be the same number because it's the same variable. Now, if this was an X, then they would be 2 different numbers, but they're both W's, so it's going to be the same number. So we have to figure out what number times what number equals 5 plus 4. Okay, well, let's figure out this side first. What is 5 plus 4? 5 plus 4 is 9. Okay, so now we got to figure out, well, what number times itself, so it's the same number, what number times itself equals 9? Okay, so to help us figure this one out, we got to figure out what are factors of 9. Remember, factors are numbers we multiply together to get this number. So I know my factors of 9 are 1, 3, and 9. Those are my only factors of 9. So it has to be one of these 3 numbers. Okay, well, let's plug in 1 here. 1 times 1 is 1, so we know that can't be the correct answer. Or if we plug in 3 here, 3 times 3, does that equal 9? Yes, it does. So W will equal 3. All right, now the last one. 450 divided by 450 equals 10 divided by what number? Okay, what side do we need to do first? Let's do this side, the side without the variable. 450 divided by 450 is 1. Okay, so we got to figure out, okay, 10 divided by what number is also going to give us 1. Okay, we know that 10 divided by itself, 10 by 10 divided by 10 equals 1. So our W is going to equal 10 because 10 divided by 10 is 1. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to part 2. Okay, so we're moving on to part 2. There's 2 questions on part 2, so I'm going to do one of them with you. So the directions say select the best translation for each of the statements. Okay, so in other words, it's asking us, you need to pick which one of the statements, it's going to give you A, B, and C, which one of those makes sense about the information that they're giving you. So number 1 says, Shauna fills up her car with gasoline. The cost to fill up her car is $30. V equals the total number of gallons of gas, and C equals the cost per gallon. So I went ahead and I wrote that down for you. You're probably thinking, should I write this down? Yeah, I think it's a good idea. So it says, here we go, Shauna fills up her car with gasoline. The cost to fill up her car is $30. Okay, then it gives us the variables to use. So it's making this a little bit easier for us. It's saying make V equal the total number of gallons of gas, and C is going to equal the cost per gallon. So we want all of this to add up to $30. So which one of these tells us that it adds up to $30? So we have, let's see, to C, it says 30 times V equals C. So it's saying $30 times the total number of gallons. Is that going to equal the cost per gallon? No, that does not make sense. Then we're going to start with, it says V equals, so the total number of gallons of gas equals 30 times C. Does that make sense? No, it does not. Now look at letter A. It says $30 equals the total number of gallons times the cost times the cost per gallon. So when we multiply these two together, that's where you're going to get 30. So your answer is going to be A. Okay, so for the other one that you're going to do on your own, you're going to pick, there's 3 options. You're going to pick which one of those options makes sense for what the question is asking of you. Okay, so that is part 2. We're moving on to part 3. Okay, for part 3, there is 2 of them. So again, I'm going to go over one with you. Okay, so now we're moving on to part 3. The directions say what word statement represents the algebraic sentence. Choose the correct answer. So in other words, now we are going to do the opposite of what we did on part 2. So now they're going to give us an algebraic sentence, and we got to figure out which of the word statements means the same thing. Okay, so went ahead and wrote it down. So here's our algebraic statement. 2 times W equals H. Or you can say twice as many W's equals H. So let's figure out. It says let W represent the number of sneakers. So 2 times the sneakers. Okay. Let H represent the number of sandals. And H is going to equal the sandals. So we want to say this statement out loud so that it helps us figure out which one of these statements is true. So what they're saying is 2 times the W, which is W is the sneaker. So 2 times W, 2 times the number of sneakers equals the number of sandals. Okay? You can say 2 times or you can say twice as many. Either of them work. So now let's read through the options and figure out which one is the answer. A says there are twice as many sneakers as there are sandals. Okay, let's go back. There's twice as many. Okay, that sounds right so far. So there's twice as many sneakers. Does W equal sneakers? No. okay, yeah, sorry, excuse me, is twice as many sneakers. So we're saying that's going to have to be at the end. So 2 times, this has to be the sneakers right here. So we know that A cannot be the correct answer. So for B, it says there are twice as many sandals. So there's twice as many sandals as there are sneakers. So that means our equal sign is going to be with the sandals. And so is that true? So it says let H represent sandals. Yes, so it says 2 times the sneakers equal the sandals. That is correct. Now let's read the last one just to double check our answers. There are 2 more sneakers than sandals. Okay, so we know it's not 2 more. We know it's 2 times more. Okay, so it's twice as many. So your answer for number 2 is going to be B. So again, for the one that you're doing on your own, just read through it. Okay, read through the algebraic statement. Try to make sense of it before you start to read the word statements. Then once you read the word statements, plug in the correct ones to see if it makes sense. Okay, so that's all for part 3. We are moving on to part 4, where we're going to work with ratios and proportions. Part 4 says use the tables to show the following proportion problems, then choose the correct answer. Okay, well, let's see how many are there. There's 3 of them, so I'll go ahead and go over one of them with you. Okay, so we're going to read the question and we're going to place it into a proportion chart. So number 1 says, a pitcher of orange juice is made from a can of frozen orange juice by mixing 3 ounces of frozen juice with 5 ounces of water. How many ounces of frozen juice are needed if 20 ounces of water is used? Okay, so with the information they gave us, we're going to fill it into our chart. So we have frozen juice and then we have the water. Well, it says the frozen juice by mixing 3 ounces of frozen juice with 5 ounces of water. So our ratio is 3 to 5. Okay, then it also tells us one more thing. It says how many ounces of frozen juice are needed if 20 ounces of water is made. Okay, so we got to figure out what this number is now. So one way to do that is we can rewrite our ratios. Okay, so we got to figure out, okay, so we can do the vertical strategy or we can do the horizontal strategy. We got to figure out which one makes sense first. Okay, so let's say if we were to try the vertical strategy, is there a number that we can multiply to get from 3 to 5? No, there's not, because 5 is not a multiple of 3. So now let's go the horizontal strategy. Can we go from 5 to 20? Is there a number that we can multiply 5 times what number gives us 20? Yes, 20 is a multiple of 5. So we got to figure out, well, what is the number? What you can do is divide 20 divided by 5, okay, and you'll get 4. So 5 times 4 equals 20. We're going to do the same thing at the top. Now we're going to multiply 3 times 4, and that's going to give us 12. So here are our answers. We have 12 ounces, 8 ounces, and 4 ounces. So your answer is going to be 12 ounces. Okay, so follow those exact same steps when you're working on the other 2 in that part. We're going to move on to the last part of your assessment. There's only 2 questions on this part. The directions say, solve each problem, then choose the correct answer. All right, so number 1 says, the Scatter Plots rock band played a large crowd on Wednesday. The ratio of girls to boys was 3 to 2. There were 342 girls at the concert. Which number should go in each part of the tape diagram? Okay, so I got to figure out my ratio first. And it tells me, so I'm going to go back and read it again. It says the ratio of girls to boys was 3 to 2. So remember, when we're working with bigger proportions, we want to use this different strategy. So for the girls, it says there's 3. So I'm going to draw 3 different boxes. Then it says boys, there's 2. The ratio is 3 to 2. So then I'm going to draw 2 boxes. Then it gives me some more information. It says there were 342 girls at the concert. So it's saying all this is going to equal 342. Okay, each of these boxes added up. Then it says which number should go in each part of the tape diagram. So it's asking what number do we need to put in each of these boxes. So how can we figure out? So if it gives us the total number 342 girls, and I have 3 boxes of girls, how can I figure out what goes in each of those? So I have a big number here, and I want to break these up into 3 smaller numbers that are the same. So to do that, I'm going to have to divide. So I'm going to divide 342 divided by 1, 2, 3. Okay, put that into your calculator, and you're going to get 114. And remember, that is what also will go into these boxes as well. Okay? So make sure you use that exact same strategy when you do the next one. And that's it for your Unit 2 assessment review. Good luck. Do your best. Remember, take your time on all of these. And once I grade them, I'll be able to tell, which ones that you're struggling with. But if there's something that you're just super frustrated with and you need some more time because maybe you didn't do well on the test, don't freak out. Don't worry about it. I'll always allow you to get your grade up higher. So like I said, as long as you try your best, that's all I ask you. That's all I ask from you. Okay? That's all I got for you guys today. So good luck on your test. Bye, guys.